Well, good evening. Thank you all for coming on this incredibly cold night. We really appreciate your being here. If I haven't had a chance to meet you before, my name is Frank Bowles. I'm the director of the Clark Historical Library, and I'm pleased that you could join us tonight to be with Susan Stan, who will be opening our new exhibit, International Children's Books Celebrating Recent Gifts. Before I explain that title, I do have a few thank yous to make, and these are to people. If you have not seen the exhibit yet in the Clark, and there will be a reception after the presentation, and you'll have that opportunity. It's a beautifully striking exhibit. And I do want to thank two people in particular, Janet Danek and Rebecca Zeiss, who are here tonight. And I'm not going to ask them to stand up, but you can talk to them later. They do wonderful work. People come to me and say, you did such a nice exhibit. And I go, yeah, not really. I signed some forms. They did a very nice exhibit. I'd also like to thank Brian Whitledge, who pulled book after book after book up to 4 o'clock this afternoon when I said, hey, we need one more thing. This is not how you should do an exhibit for someone, so I'd like to thank Brian as well. The title for the show, however, Celebrating Recent Gifts, is because the exhibit thanks two individuals who are also with us tonight. Both Professor Emeritus who taught here at CMU, both who taught children's literature, Krista Kamenetsky and Susan Stan. We are indebted to both of them. Susan Stan, of course, will be speaking tonight, but among her many gifts to the library include approximately 700 international children's books, which we carried out of her basement last summer. We're intimately familiar with those books. Krista Kamenetsky, however, his gift was equally important. Krista has gifted to us an endowment to purchase more international children's books so that the collection will continue to grow and benefit over time. So we are grateful to both of these two ladies for their help. Let me, however, turn my page over and introduce to you Professor Susan Stan. Susan Stan has a long and distinguished career in children's literature. She's widely published. She's an author of both many books and many articles. Some sample titles include Going Global, World Literature for American Children, Picturing American Indians, Image versus Authenticity, and The World Through Children's Books. And just by way of an example, let me read you one of the reviews of that last book. A valuable and easy-to-use tool for librarians, teachers, and others seeking to promote international understanding through children's literature. The annotated bibliography, organized geographically by world, region, and country, describes nearly 700 books representing 73 countries. It's an amazing scope. Dr. Stan, as I've said, has an impressive body of published work. She also, during her teaching career here at CMU, was a very beloved instructor. I've lifted a few things from those student ratings you all do. Teacher being Professor Stan, teacher is passionate about the subject and pushes your thought process. Another student, truly an excellent professor, witty and kind, passionate about children's literature and knowledgeable about it as well. They seemed surprised when they wrote this, Susan. I'm sorry, but they seemed quite amazed, Third comment, one of those rare professors that has her heart in the right place and actually cares about her students' learning experience in her class. This person clearly had some bad classes. However, I do need to share, Susan, one critical student opinion. And it does begin kindly enough. Susan Stan was one of my favorite language art professors. She truly has a passion for children's literature, and it's easy to get swept up into her world. But her quizzes are easy only if, and that's all in caps, only if you read the material. There's something so quaint about that statement. Students reading books. Who knew? That's still required, apparently. It's a radical notion, yes. Professor Stan, in addition to forcing students to read books, has been a member and an important member of many professional organizations, including the Children's Literature Association, the National Council of Teachers of English, and the United States Board on Books for Young People, which is part of IBI, the International Board on Books for Young People. She has been instrumental in many ways in the IBBY organization, most recently by serving on the nominating committee for the 2014 Hans Christian Andersen Award, which is generally considered the most prestigious children's award in the globe. The Little Nobel Prize is its other name. It is a tremendously important award. It's also a tremendously important committee to serve on. Professor Stan received her bachelor's degree from St. Olaf College. And before you think it, yes, that's St. Olaf, the one Garrison Keillor is particularly fond of. Professor Stan also holds a master's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and her doctorate was awarded by the University of Minnesota. And with that by way of introduction, Susan, would you like to come up on the stage?
Did you push? Yes. Thank you, Frank, and thank you for not reading all the not so complimentary ratings I have seen rate my professor as well, and I was never quite so happy. So in any case, I also want to acknowledge the contribution that Krista Kamenetsky has made. So that will ensure that the books and the International Children's Book Collection will remain in good condition, be taken care of, and also be enlarged. I'm delighted to be here. I have sat in your position many, many times, and it's wonderful to be the speaker for a change. Not that I always wanted to be the speaker, but in this case. I also want to welcome anybody who happens to be listening. We are being streamed live. So don't any of you like yell out or do anything contrary, because apparently there are one or two people out there in internet land who want to hear what I have to say. Okay, so this evening's talk consists of three different parts. I need to amend a little bit what Frank said. I wasn't on the nominating committee for the Hans Christian Andersen Award. I was on the jury, but that's something that I'll talk about. The first part will just be kind of a history of how the International Children's Book Collection started. The second part will be more about the significance of some of the books. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit via examples about how children's books have culture embedded in them in a way so deep that we really don't even recognize it, but how those books can shape the attitudes of children. So, to begin with, ultimately, I hope that when you're finished listening to me, you might be able to say, to give a reason for why the Clark should give space for this children's book collection, because space, of course, is a commodity, and also why this collection would be of interest both to the scholar and to the average viewer. So, first the background. In 2001, the Clark had the opportunity to buy two sets of books that represented the best children's authors and illustrators throughout the world in 1998 and 2000. There were 37 countries represented at that point. These books were in the IBBY collection, and that's the terminology that the Clark has started using. They were originally sent to jurors on the committee, the self-same committee that I served on in 2014. They were sent to jurors on the 1998 and 2000 committees. And For reasons, most jurors who get these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books shipped to them, most donate them or keep them for their own collections. But there are sometimes reasons that people need to divest themselves of them. In this particular case, it was a juror from South Africa. We serve as volunteers, which means we pay our own way. And this South African man needed the money to pay the bills that he had spent in traveling to Basel, Switzerland. So he put his juror sets up for sale. The clerk heard about it and decided to start this focus on international children's literature.